Hey everybody, this is Scott Homan with Witness Underground, the documentary and podcast. Today we have a very special guest. This is Elle with Elle Reno Coaching. She just did something amazing for our project. We have a live Kickstarter campaign right now to raise money to release Witness Underground in a general public release on common streaming platforms. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. And the exciting thing is Elle Reno, who is joining us here today, signed up to be pledged to be a associate producer on the film. We up until now we've only had one associate producer, and with this campaign there's an option to gain more, and as a part of that your name goes in the credits. You go on IMDb and then you're part of the family forever, and it's permanently in the system, in the movie history. So welcome, Elle. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Tell us a little bit about you and your coaching, and also why this was interesting to you and you got involved.
I've been part of the Exjw community since about 2018 when I was starting to wake up. I completely left in 2020, and in June I certified to become a life coach. And for a while I was trying to figure out what was my niche, and I really didn't want anything to do with anything that has anything to do with JW. I just wanted to sort of close the door on that and and move on. But the more that I got involved in the community, the more I realized like how much I could really help people and make an impact. And it was just like a light switch went on one day, and I was like,
Hmm,
that's what I meant to do.
that's
So
amazing.
here I
So it's a
am.
new thing, the coaching, the licensing for coaching. Is that right?
Yeah,
June
I
this
was
year?
June, yeah, and I've coached quite a few clients already, but XJW clients, this is new, but I know that I have the background being born in, and all the coaching I've done on myself to get me where I am now. So
I'd love to
I'm
dive into
excited.
that. What was it that drew you to coaching originally?
It started a long time ago. Honestly, it started back when I was a teenager and I was reading Deepak Chopra.
Hmm.
And it was like, I always had that like spiritual side to me, and also just kind of curious and questioning, and a lot of times I didn't believe it fully, but the JW way, but I went along with it because I didn't know anything different.
Hmm.
And I've listened to life coaches over the years, and then a light bulb went off when I found the life coaching school, and that's where I got certified.
Hmm.
It was just like instantly, like that week, I signed up and I dove into it head first. And it was everything that I've always believed, but then it was put into like this little tangible package of this is life coaching. It was just, it's changed my life
Yeah.
100%.
What would you say this is what I believe, to quote you a minute 10 seconds ago. What were those things and what are they now? What's changed?
Yeah. So what it is we have circumstances that come up in our life. It's just life, it's just actual facts. And then we have thoughts about those facts. Those thoughts that we have create a feeling in us. The feelings that we have make us do certain things. We take action in our lives, whether that's good or bad. And from those actions, we create our results in our life. And
Hmm.
so it's just very clear. And once we can change our thinking about certain things, then it's going to change everything. It's going to change our feeling. It's going to change what we do. And it's going to change our whole life because the result is an absolute 100% transformation.
Have you had that in your life?
Yes. Yeah. So the
What's a good
changes,
example of how that works for someone who doesn't know anything about coaching or this concept of like separation of sensation, emotions, thinking, and like can you like give an example for a new person?
yeah, I will. And I'll go back to the reason that I that I finally woke up is when I watched the Australian Royal Commission, and I watched it as an actual court case, and I
Mm,
read, all of these things, and that took me back to my childhood of being abused.
mm,
And for the longest time, I felt like my weight was sort of protecting me in some way. Like that was my protection. If I ever got back to the weight that I was when I was abused, that somehow, I didn't allow myself to do it because something in me thought that I would be hurt again. And
mm,
so when I finally disconnected the two, my weight is one thing, a
mm.
pedophile is another thing. And it's like, that's just one example of a wall that was broken down.
Wow. I never thought of those things being connected. And it's interesting, like a perception of your body and the damage that happened from someone else. Yeah, very interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
As far as the transition, so you had this idea of like closing the chapter on the whole Jehovah Witness religious background and moving forward with a new life. I think that's really healthy, and I want people to do that. I think a lot of people do shut that door, but they also are like compartmentalizing that in their minds and never really dealing with it or working through it. Like it happens a lot. I see this in the dialogue of the former member community online. I see a lot of dialogue about how something's still triggering decades later, and that's also totally fine that happens, and not an indication that's unhealthy because we can all have triggers. But like some people are still wrapped up in or still believe the things that they were told, are still in the program loops that the religion put into us. It's interesting that you had this desire to close a chapter and do something new, and then you got some new education, and you're like, well, actually, like I could reach back and like bring people out
Yeah.
or help them out or help them shorten the. Maybe you can talk instead of me wondering, but yeah, how was that transition for you?
I like to think of it like all the JW stuff. Basically, what I did, it was just a junky room. Let's say it's like a room in the house, and it was just filled with all these boxes of all these beliefs and things that I thought were true, right? And I just closed the door. So it
Mm-hmm.
happened when I started coaching and coaching myself and hiring my own coach. As I opened the door, I turned on the light, and I didn't just go through it all in one day. I went through it box by box, and I took out
Mm-hmm.
each box and looked into it and looked and see what is it that I believe, not what I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
What do I really believe about things? And that's what coaching is. It's really just loving people for who they are, which we never got the chance to do or to be. We never got to be loved for who we truly are. And so it's just looking at how we are as individuals, and that's okay. And it's helping us get to our highest self or our best version of ourselves. And so that's what that process kind of looked like to me.
It's interesting, that analogy of opening up the boxes like this in storage.
Yeah.
I started therapy a couple years ago, and that was
Mm-hmm.
an analogy that the therapist, she was a ex-Mormon and did like internal family systems, EDMR as tools, and internal family systems, like all the different versions of yourself inside that are like this age or this perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm just learning about that still. But one of her specialties that I found on the secular therapy project was
Uh-huh.
that she had no religious affiliation, and she
Uh-huh.
specialized in leaving a faith community as one of
Mm-hmm.
her specialties. And she was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And she used this analogy of shutting the closet, and it's like a cartoon closet where you open the door and as you're like a kid and like all the stuff falls out because it's like so jam packed full of stuff. It's completely
Yeah.
disorganized and cluttered. And
Uh-huh.
she's like, you need to go through every single thing in that closet or every box of stuff in
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah.
And some of it's worthwhile and some of it's not, but you can't get rid of any of it. Like
Uh-huh.
you can decide what to do with some of the stuff. Like okay, she didn't say you can't get rid of any of it, but it's like it's all a part of you,
Uh-huh.
and you need to work through it. Like organize it in a way that's logical, not just shut the door on the closet with all the things. Like you open her analogy was like you open the closet door and you take one box and like that there's a box filled with good stuff, but there's like a couple bad things or things in there that are like really emotional. And you shut the box and you like slam it back in the closet is one way to deal with it. But if you want to like get through it is like actually go through everything in the closet, take out the good stuff that you want to keep, recognize it for what it is, and like take the stuff you definitely don't want to be have in your life anymore, and like take it to the thrift shop and like sell it to someone else. No, just like get rid of it. As like to run the analogy to its end, organize your closet. And I think it's like a similar idea to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like to think of my boxes. Some of them I didn't want to keep. It's like, I don't actually believe that. That's not true. But some of the boxes I kept, and some of them do serve me. Some of the things that we were raised, just different values that we were given. Some of them they are kind of okay. Like maybe I do kind of want to hold on to just a couple little things. So.
What if somebody wanted to work with you? What would that look like? Like, how do you start that process?
Yeah, so they would just reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I get a lot of messages on Facebook through Messenger. What I do is I do total transformations. So it's a year long working with me because that really is what it takes to go through everything. So, and another big thing I want to say too is that the thing is a lot of times when we have feelings that come up, when we open that box, we have a feeling and we don't, instead of like really just feeling it and just being in it and surviving the feeling, a lot of times people will just close the box, or maybe they're going to buffer with alcohol or drugs or relationships or shopping or there's or eating. There's all these things that we do to like not feel, but really what I'm doing is I am with that client 100% so they can go through and feel everything, all one thing at a time, and know that you're not going to die from it. It's just a feeling and it passes. And once
Yeah.
you process it like that, you're really able to create anything you want in your life because you're not afraid of feeling anything, whether it's a good feeling or bad feeling.
Yeah. There's something, a woman I just met who also has this background. She had a family experience recently where she shared something personal. I won't say who it is or get too detailed, but basically she realized like during what would be normally a really emotional situation,
Uh,
completely dissociated and was just like, yeah, well, people die, whatever, things happen. All right, what else? Just like completely cool and neutral about something that would be completely tragic moment in anyone's life, losing someone you love. And that was like a realization, which I think is fascinating. And I wonder to what degree we sort of do that. And it came up in a podcast episode a couple days ago with Stephen Mather called Hackers, where someone talked about like he talked about with one of the guests, it was like a cascade of guests in a row, that like we're observers when we're in that faith group. Like we see the world for what it is. We watch the news. We talk about the news. We're not a part of anything. We're just
right.
like watching it. Or even
Yeah.
I made me think of like the word witness. It's like, yeah, we're just watching the television, but we're not a part of the thing
Right.
at all, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder like how much of living that way for decades or being trained to not be a part of something or be separate makes you dissociate from reality. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because these are kind of just new ideas that are just like coming up in the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that would just be another way of what I would call buffering. It's like if you just completely shut it out, you don't have to feel anything, right? There's good or bad. Like, yeah, you just completely shut the door. Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
way of buffering. But what I encourage people to do is for them to be open and be able to get to the place where they can feel that and they're not afraid of it.
It's really
Yeah.
valuable. Feels like a really human approach, or in like holding someone's hand through the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because we all have, even though we're all XGWs, that we all have such different experiences.
Hmm.
I have a lot of experience, a lot of different things have happened to me over the years. And at my ripe age of 48, a lot of life has happened. But I just see it so much differently now, because for years I had gone back and forth, in and out, and like I really want to make my mom happy and do this because it's like, it's the only way that I'm ever going to be happy. But it was like it never resonated with me. And when I completely woke up and broke free of it, it's like the light came on.
Hmm.
And then it was just like more digging and more figuring out like, what is this? Like, who am I? Because I've been raised to think that I'm supposed to think this way, but wait a second, like what are my actual values? Because
Hmm.
for everybody it's so different.
Hmm.
And that's perfect. That's exactly how we're supposed to be. We're just supposed to be us. And that's why I loved what you being the director of this film. It's like, and I haven't watched it, and I'm excited because when it's like, I'm excited for it just to be like a surprise to me. But
Hmm.
I believe that we all have to arrive at our own healing in a different way, whatever way that is, whether it's through
Hmm.
coaching or counseling, maybe both, or it's, music or whatever it is that helps us just be who we are supposed to be. That's what my hope is for us.
That's beautiful. It's also interesting to like join in something that you haven't seen, but we give you as good of a like honest taste of it as we possibly can without showing it to you. But it makes me wonder if I should be giving anyone who pledges to be an associate producer an instant watch of the movie because I have a private link that I can give people. We can talk offline about that. You want to wait till it's like out?
Yeah, it's like however it's supposed to be is how it's going to be, and
Yeah.
I believe that, and I'm open to that. So I
Okay.
like being surprised, but I believe
Cool.
in because I know what kind of people we were raised to be, and that's still in us, so I believe in you. I believe in this project,
Mm.
and I'm excited to be a part of it. I want us
Thank
all to
you.
heal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I almost feel like it was an intuitive thing. Like I've just wanted to see what happens after people in all the other documentaries on the topic, what happens after they cry and they rolled credits. Like there's so much more. And like the proudest moment for me, like an important moment for my life was, yeah, walking away from this group. Totally proud of myself for that. And I'm proud of anyone else who does that. But I went and did stuff that I think is amazing after that. Like I was free to finally go do stuff. And I'm
Uh-huh.
sure that that's true of a lot of people. Like they finally were able to go do anything they wanted to do. And if you're
Yeah.
completely untethered from all the links to your past, I met people all over the world, no matter
Wow.
where I was traveling or living, that were just all of a sudden I'm hanging out with someone and I find out they're an ex-witness, or I lived with someone for a year and they told me they're an ex-witness. And like, I was like, what? Like,
Wow.
that's crazy. Like we're like from other
Wow.
countries living in Vietnam together on a motorcycle trip. And now you just reveal this bomb on me. And like, it just kept on
Oh,
happening and happening and happening. I was like, I'm going to lean into that because these people are so impressive. And it's like the interesting combination of being the kind of person to successfully navigate cult mind control and get out of it is
I,
like a special self-selected group of humans, and then to be completely untethered, to know that that's what's going to happen and embrace that enough to go for it and be like, okay, here I am alone in every possible way. Now what can I do? Okay, cool. I have absolutely nothing in my way. I don't have any
I,
support, but I have nothing in my way. So
yeah.
like, fuck it. I'm gonna go all the way. I'm gonna go to the other side of the planet. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna make a business. I'm gonna live my passion, live my dream, and that's inspiring to me.
Wow,
And
that
I
is
wanted to
awesome.
make I want to put that in the movie. And I feel like in a way we did because we have like this great example of artists how they were living in the faith group mind control, like pressure, high pressure world.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they got out, it was like, oh, you thought that music was not acceptable? Or like you were upset that we were like kind of edgy. Let us show
Yeah.
you what skills and thoughts we've developed, and we're going to put that into a song that people will like have stuck in their head because it's a beautifully catchy song, and we're going to say some crazy powerful, not crazy, powerful, powerful things
Uh-huh.
about processing trauma and exiting and moving on and self-empowerment. And it's like the music that comes out of it is sometimes like complicated or complex or like confusing, or can be like so powerful and like incredible. And just putting this campaign together has been interesting because like it's not necessarily clear in the campaign because we kind of rushed to put all the ideas together. We've been thinking about them for years, and it was like, well, we want to put all the stuff from inside the religion, all the music, all the nuclear gopher music together. What
Mm-hmm.
is already publicly available, but like we're going to send it to you in one big super package. And also there's, if you can get the physical stuff too. And then there's the post nuclear gopher, the ex-witnesses that left the religion, became ex-witnesses and went and made amazing music. There's like twice as many albums in a very
Uh-huh.
short period of time. And that
Yeah.
collection's like, wow. And those are the artists that helped us make the thing. It's the people that got out and they're like, yeah, let's tell that story. Let's tell the story of
Yeah.
transitioning to having the life you actually want to live and not suffering. And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, now they're rock stars, in a sense.
I love it. So that's when I had sort of an epiphany, when I had two friends close to me that we grew up together as GWs, and two of them died. One
Mm,
from a drug overdose, and one from drinking himself to death.
wow. These are people
Before
who left the religion.
one had left and one was actually still in,
Okay.
sort of
Interesting.
suffering.
Yeah.
And so when they passed away, that is actually the day that the light came on for me. And
Mm,
even though people knew that I was faded and they didn't really know my status, what am I doing? I just had to speak out because, there was it set me off in a way where I'm like, if somebody doesn't speak up, who's going to speak up? And who
mm-hmm,
can help people? I can help people. I have the background, I have all the tools, like I was holding myself back. And when I finally like used my voice to really say what I believe and why,
mm-hmm,
it was very clear like who was supporting me and who wasn't. And I've just like you, when you say you've taken these trips around the world and you found your people, I found my people too. Those are our people because they get us. And some people don't
mm-hmm.
have a voice. So I want to be that voice.
It's powerful. Yeah. I feel like I'm always looking for tribe. Um, but it's
Yeah.
also like I'm still looking for that thing. And maybe it's because we were inundated with the, hey, this is your tribe
Mhm.
language all the time. Like this is your spiritual community or your spiritual
Right.
paradise, your spiritual family, all these like cult terms. And not having that, like one thing I missed after getting out was like, where are the old people? There was a lot of the village, like constantly being raised in a village. That was really nice about it.
Uh,
And that you have to like really seek that out or like embrace someone else's parents or something. I'm not a
right.
person who's like going to go to another church, but I always feel like I'm looking for another tribe. Would you have any? Because a lot of people actually have been in these chats where like ex witnesses are all hanging out together or like group calls, and they're like,
Yeah.
"How do you make friends?" Is like a
Uh,
common question I see, especially people who
yes.
just left the thing. I haven't
Uh,
had problems with that because I had like a pretty neutral upbringing. Like I had
uh,
normal friends and
uh,
witnesses in my life.
uh,
So like for me, it was no big deal. It was like refreshing. I was like, finally, I can go just hang out with the people I want to hang out with, and none of the people I don't want to hang out with. Amazing. But like, can you give advice to someone who's like not so long
yeah.
out, but also doing coaching? I'm like, how do you find community from? So give advice to maybe someone who's listening.
Yeah. I would love to do that. What I'll just tell you what I've done for myself, and then I'll tell you what I've done for my clients. But for myself, what I did is I actually reached out to old friends that we grew up together as JW, and I just reached out to them like, "Hey, are you going to meetings?" Or just kind of like testing the waters, not really saying, what, and then just getting a feel for it. And I've made so many connections because let me tell you, a lot of people we grew up with are not JWs anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is a dying culture. So if we can reach out to those friends that we had when we were growing up and just see their status, it's like those kind of friends are like, it's priceless because
Hmm.
they know you, they know your story. When a lot of times clients come to me and they say, well, I don't know, I just don't feel like I fit in, and I'm just a little bit weird, and I don't know. Even if, even when you're older, you kind of feel like I'm a little bit different. But the thing
Hmm.
is, with going out and meeting people, just complete strangers, you really have to force yourself to do it. So that's what I did for myself, is I forced myself to join groups where we actually meet up live. So I'm a member of, it's called the Boss Society of Olympia. I am here in Washington State, outside of
Okay,
Seattle. And
cool.
um, and it was
What's the
there
name
when
of it again?
it's called
The
the
name?
Boss Society.
Boss?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
it's a bunch
Hefe?
of
Leader?
it's a bunch
Okay.
of girls. We're just like, we're being bosses. It's really fun, but really, when I had told my story to them, because I had to sort of write like my elevator speech, right? Like, what do you
Hmm.
do in like a
Good
minute,
luck making a two
right?
sentence or 10-second thing.
And then I thought, oh geez, I don't know if these people are gonna get this like XJW thing. But it was
Hmm.
amazing. Like, it's amazing when you actually tell people how willing and open people are, like, oh wow, that's amazing. They were just, and then I said, there's something to this. Like, if
Hmm.
they get me, I'm not afraid anymore. But sometimes you have to push yourself to be in those situations. I didn't want to do it, but I just do it. I have to force myself. And I'm a natural, I would call myself like introvert, extrovert. Like, I can be very introverted, my nose in a book, and I'm very happy there. But I can also like liven up, and like I love being around people, and I love having friends, and just making small talk with people. And we're good at that. We are all good at that because
Hmm.
we were trained to do that. I mean, geez, who else
Yeah.
just meets strangers at their house and knocks on their door and like, how are you? Let me read you a scripture. I mean, geez,
Right.
we have more courage and more boldness inside of us than we even realize. It's
Hmm.
actually quite the opposite than people would think. Than we would
Yeah.
think, like, "Oh, I don't know, we're a little strange." No, we're not. We have a gift of being able to talk to people, strangers. We have a gift of doing public talks. I mean, that's a gift, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's one of the strange, like, positive sides of it. I have zero fear of talking to any human being, and I
yeah.
have absolute zero hesitancy to talk to
Mhm.
someone who's from maybe like what could be considered a different class,
Yeah.
higher
Yeah.
or lower or whatever. Like if
Exactly.
someone's super rich, and
Mhm.
I'm not, and I have never been. If someone's super rich and they're in the room, like I have absolutely no qualms about going and saying hi.
Yeah.
and and people being weird about that is exactly what makes it strange. Is that they're not normal because they have more money in their bank account than me, which is, I mean, there's so many people like that, right? I don't know. Anyway, so
So,
like it's interesting that
mhm.
we had this training, I guess is my point.
Mhm. Yeah, we can take it and run with it, and it doesn't all have to be done in one day or one week. It can be done bit by bit over time. You have to keep pushing yourself. You have to keep
Yeah.
testing yourself. I would compare it a lot to dating. If somebody's like,
Numbers
I
game.
don't know, I can't find my person, right? I don't know. It's like, okay, well, are you like, what are you doing? Are you like on any apps, or do you go to these, meetup things, or like, what do you do? Oh, I don't do anything. I'm just at home. It's like, you're not going to meet people that way. If you want a
Right.
real physical connection, one on one, in person, you really have to put yourself out there. And it is scary. It is scary.
Hmm.
And even though it's scary, you can still do it little by little.
Yeah. I've had a thing recently with this film. So the film, we did a film festival circuit, which is like one of my life dreams, is to put a film that make a film that's at that quality that it would get like public recognition by the highest levels of
Yeah.
cinema people. And I didn't know what I was doing, but the guy actually helping us with the crowdfund, who's joined our producer team to get the
Uh,
film out. He's done like 300 films, and he's directed a bunch of his own films. He's a trained actor,
I saw
really
him.
enthusiastic guy. I really like him, Justin Giddings.
Um,
And he helped us get into 11 film festivals. We won an award at a horror film fest for a documentary, which is So funny. It's like the
Oh,
best documentary feature award, um, which we're really
that's
proud of. And I love that we won it at a horror film fest. It's like, you
I
guys,
love that. Is so
you
funny.
accepted our documentary like about music and exiting a religion into a horror film fest. I love it. But anyway,
So,
just all
so
to
were
say,
you?
like, I had to do public speaking
Mhm.
at all those.
Mhm.
But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and are you also telling me that you did something that was a little bit scary and it totally
So
worked?
scary. And it was amazing. Yeah, it was the best. And
Love
now I'm like,
it.
so the thing that happens at a film festival is, yeah, your movie plays on a schedule and people know about it. A lot of it's
Uh-huh,
talking to people to let them know at the festival and days ahead when your film is going to play and invite them into the screening. And most of the
uh-huh,
people that are at film festivals are directors, producers, actors,
mhm,
extras, friends of people, friends of the cast,
uh-huh,
friends of the director, stuff like that. So it's like a lot of deep insider film people, and then
uh-huh.
like their connections who are trying to be there to support them. And so it's like super social up front. And at that place are also media people that want to interview filmmakers that are interested in stories that are interesting or like fit their niche or their topic. So that's out. There's like, oh, let's do an interview right now, and that happens a lot. And you're like, okay, I'm talking about some super heavy thing all of a sudden, and also like what the film is about, and it's exciting. It's like the mix of this being an exciting film that I made, um,
Uh-huh,
and it wasn't just me. It was like 40 people that got involved
uh-huh.
over the course of making it, but it's also like a really personal, heavy topic,
Yeah.
which is why I was motivated to make it and why you're here,
Mhm.
because it's a personal topic, right? We went through this thing,
Right.
and but to do public speaking for the first
Mhm.
time ever after leaving a religion where you're forced to do public speaking, and it was like you get publicly humiliated after doing a thing, talking about a topic you don't want to talk about, with hundreds of
Yeah.
eyes watching you, and then getting judged publicly. And then it's just like, I don't want to do any of this. This is a terrible experience. It was a terrible thing I had to do for a week in advance. And then to do that again, it's like I'm handing out literature that is about this religion, and I'm doing public speaking about this religion. I'm like, no, what did I choose this
Really
for? This is terrible.
natural. That's what you're natural. Like it's in
Yeah.
you.
But it's like this huge like anxiety emotion welled up in me, and I had my first like anxiety attack in public. And now it's like, okay, I have to like work on managing that, because that's just a part of, there's like some deeper stuff that could probably use your help, your kind of coaching or like a therapy thing to like, let's compartmentalize and figure out what that whole thing is and work it out. But I know I'm just like, I'm doing
We
it.
could
I
do
love it.
that
And
right
I'm going to get
now.
emotional in public. What's that?
I said we could do that right now if you want.
Oh, wow. You want to demonstrate your, I don't know that I want to cry in camera today.
Okay, not today. But yeah, those
Yeah.
types of things, that's what it's all about. And just
Yeah.
working through it. And yeah, it's
And
totally possible.
this like tightening in the chest that happens, like you're talking about the separation, like you have a sensation, and then it's like an
Mhm.
emotion that's like difficult and not like what I want to feel in a public space when people are watching and it's present in real time. And then it's like and I'm like, okay, now I have thoughts about it, or complicating the
Right?
process. So I'm trying to say
Yeah.
a specific thing to make a
Uh-huh.
point that's powerful, but it's like triggering all these emotions, and then the complication of that happening in real time. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, this is a lot all at once. And then I wait, I give myself a beat, and my voice cracks, and I say the thing, and then you move on, and then it keeps on working. And it's like, okay, this is an interesting process in real time.
And
But
you did it.
yeah.
And then after that, then what?
And then it keeps
Did
going because people are like, this is fascinating and riveting, and it's like, this person's vulnerable, let's keep
yeah.
asking them questions that dive in deeper on that. And then it's
So they
like, then it
loved
becomes amazing. Yeah.
they loved it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if we never speak up, we can never touch those people.
Yeah. Right. And it's like, I felt when I was going to release the movie, or even when I just originally pitched the concept of the movie, and we did a crowdfund in 2018 for this.
Hmm.
And it was so interesting on that topic, because I was like, in my imagination, I'm like, I'm going to be releasing this incredible new device, like a startup has their new amazing world changing product like the iPhone, and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, what? I have to have it. That's incredible. I'm going to fund your stock. I'm going to buy into this concept. But in the end, I'm like, and people are like, what about your mom? Like, do you miss her? And it's like, oh my God, yeah. But like, can we talk about the movie I'm about to make? And they're like, you said it's going to be personal. Let's talk about the deep, heavy stuff. And then I'm like getting emotional in public. And I was like, no, that was not the vision I had of myself. But at the same time, people are like fascinated by it because they don't have that. They don't have a 10-year break with their family. And
Yeah.
it is a part of it. And the film does dive into shunning,
Mhm.
but we don't stay there forever. We demonstrate it. We demonstrate how dark it can get. And
Mhm.
then we move on to the next dark thing. And then eventually, like, we have the rising of we have the music side of it, empowering people and giving them their own voice. And that combination for me is like, I'm so happy with it. I'm so proud of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I love about coaching. It's like all of these things can happen to us and we can have this crazy, JW past experience and life can go on. It's
Mm,
sort of like from this moment right now with you, like we're in this one moment and then it's just so exciting to look at like what's going to happen. Instead
yeah.
of looking so much in the back, it's like it's kind of like the counseling part of it would be like, okay, what happened in the past, but we're here right now, and then what?
Hmm.
It's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. No, I absolutely love that perspective, and I've been trying to share something like that. Even the crowdfund, it's like months of work to get this thing put together, and then push the release button. I was like, oh my god, I'm exhausted, and this is day one. This is day zero. Fuck. Okay, but for me, it's like, yeah, the crowdfund. For me, it's like we're working with people that are passionate, and we made something that's amazing that we're so proud of, and we made sure it's at the highest level of quality we could possibly do, and
I see
people
that.
that came out of the woodwork to make it happen like really really did amazing work. And the reviews are amazing that we're getting, and the people that watch it, like a quarter of the people that watch it write me a letter like, oh my god, I cried 4 times and I had to watch it again, and I invited my family to watch it, and then now my friend, it's like, so there's been a few different ways people have been able to watch it, and we get these amazing reviews. And but for me, it's like, yeah, the crowdfund, sure, like we need that to take the next step, which is wide release. But I care way more about this kind of connection and what happens during this process, because we're just trying to like find the people that will
Yeah,
care
yeah,
as part of like marketing and like pushing this out into the world. And I'm so
yeah.
excited about what collaborations happen next after,
I
because this is
know.
just the beginning. For me, it's like, I mean, for me, it's
And
5 years
this
in and
is
it feels like the end of something, but at the same time, it's like finally it's the beginning of the phase where it's in the world making the impact I wanted it to make.
right. And then what's next?
Yeah,
You
that
know?
part, that's the most exciting thing. And that's what all the other films, and not to harp on this, but like there's so many good films on the topic, but
Yeah.
like they often end with, ugh, it sucks. Ugh, I'm sad, or like look at like a lot of news documentaries do this thing, which drives me crazy. And that's one of my
Uh,
biggest hang up. And we talk about it in the pitch video. It's like, this terrible thing happens inside this religious group, and you'll never believe it. These are the no birthday people. We think
yeah.
that was it. They're just like the Jesus people with no birthdays. Like not so evil sounding, but look at how dark they are. Roll credits. And it's like you see a person cry, you feel pity, and it's like
Oh,
what happens next is so much cooler and more interesting than that. Yeah, we all suffer a little bit, but like the other thing, the other empowerment thing.
yeah. I mean, look at
That's
us,
so
right? We're
mhm.
doing it.
Yeah,
We're doing it, and this is just the beginning. That's how I like to think of it.
I agree. There's something that keeps coming up. So trying to find people who wanted to help us with the crowdfund and just getting the word out about this film. A number of, especially women, I had a phone call with who were like, I just left the religion, and I, I have a kid, and I now believe I'm going to die for the first time ever, and that
Yeah.
I can't pursue my dreams. I gave up on the dreams of my 20s. I gave up on the dreams of my 30s. Here I am in the middle, and I didn't have a baby, or I just had a baby, and now I guess I'm just a mom now, or like I was going to play music, but I didn't have that opportunity, so that opportunity is completely lost. And I kept hearing this kind of language, and it got me thinking. This is in the last month or two. Like, it's like, how do you make your second wind strong? And one thing I thought of is like, I was in a band. I was in 3 bands.
Uh,
Did I take any of them seriously? Kind of, but as serious as any 19-year-old can take something who
right.
lives in the middle of the woods and is in a weird religious group. Not that far. And I had a lot of other things that were distracting me from paying attention to that. But if I were now to become a musician or like take it seriously, I would do so from the perspective of an adult who
Yeah.
recognizes the value of time and
Mm-hmm.
values other people's time. And if you're going to do something, you're going to do it with passion and intensity and
Yeah.
with a goal in mind and
Uh,
be dedicated. I really think that like if you're in that situation where you're like, oh no, like I missed out on everything awesome,
mm-hmm.
I'm just going to suffer and like be a passive observer to my own life, which is kind of what the religion basically teaches us to do, teaches you to do. Like you have this opportunity as an adult to just grab it by the horns and like do exactly what you want to do in 6 months and then have the thing you want, or in 2 years or whatever, 5 years. But like you can, because we're adults and because we know what it takes, because we
Yeah.
understand how the world works, shorten the time
Yeah.
and
I
focus.
like to call that the miserable middle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where like not making a decision is actually making a decision. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't do anything and you just stay in that miserable middle, you will be miserable, It is going to be that way. It's you have to take some of that stuff with you and leave some of it behind.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to take everything if you don't want to. It's only up to you. And I remember having that feeling when I finally woke up, like really woke up. I'm like, oh my God, like there's not a paradise. Like I am going to die. And my feeling was, I have to start living right now, right now. And my path hasn't been easy. I relate to a lot of those women. I am a single mom. I have a wonderful, supportive boyfriend, but I have chosen to live alone because that's what I want, and he lets me be free. But yeah, I had that really overwhelming feeling, like you're saying, of like I can do this, and like I really need to do it with all the passion and determination. It's never too late. I don't care if you're 60 years old, 70 years old, that you are still alive. There is still a life to live, and you do have a
Mm-hmm.
purpose.
Yeah,
There's
there's a
value.
really good book. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I said there's still value there.
Yeah. There's a book, this community of people that the film was about really were a big part of my path in getting out properly. And
Uh,
we all kind of communicated over that barrier that's supposed to exist that they want you to create with
right.
your community, friends, family. And
Mm-hmm.
because of the music and because of the friendship and bond that we had, there was still communication happening. And it was not always easy. It was a bit stilted at times, but we kept in communication. And Eric from the film and I had maybe the strongest relationship of anyone in the film at that time. And he sent me a book. Well, we actually sent a lot of books to each other around that time. But one of the books was The Atheist Way. And
Okay.
so like people left the faith and for the most part, like clean slate, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was some bullshit. Like we're at zero now.
Right.
There is no supernatural. The demons aren't trying to like attack us and persuade us away from the path. Um,
Uh,
there's no paradise like the lions that we're going to pet and the fruit baskets we're going to be carrying in all the imagery and propaganda that they put out. Actually looks just like communist propaganda in Russia,
I
Vietnam, China, Korea. Like we lived in like basically a communist dystopia our whole lives, with
yes.
all the fruit and and farming that is required. But the atheist way was interesting because it's like, well, what is if there really is no supernatural and there is no meaning, then what meaning can you make, or like what's the path to finding purpose in life?
Mhm.
And it really came down to, I mean, I feel like that book was like foundational for me at that time.
I'll have
Like,
to buy
oh,
it.
well, you have to do it yourself.
Uh-huh.
You can, like a religion's like, here's the package, here's everything that's important, and now this is your identity. Wear all these things, follow all these rules, believe all this stuff, and none of this stuff on the outside. Just what we
Right.
tell you, and be
Mm-hmm.
angry about everything that doesn't conform. Be emotional, like we're telling you to be emotional, and like when you make your own meaning, it's okay. Well, what am I putting here? I want to choose one thing at a time. And eventually, you have this like I built my own framework of what's important and meaningful to me. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really important to like sort of melt the programming loops that are in your brain down
Uh-huh.
to the base neurons, and then
Uh-huh.
go find and the meaning and the purpose and all the things that are supposed to be important like for me, and I think a lot of people in the film had something similar. Like, all right, let's break it down to the fundamentals. None of
Yeah.
that is real. None of that's important. Absolute
Yeah.
zero. There is no morality. The Bible is valueless garbage text from a tribe in the middle of the desert from thousands of years ago. Like, forget it all. Let's start with like what's important to you personally right now. Find the thing that brings your curiosity. And it's hard. It takes a lot of effort, but then it's like also
It
really, really
does.
exciting to make your own thing.
Yeah, it does. It does take effort, and I mean, what you're saying is exactly what I believe too. So we do have to break it down to the base level, and that is what coaching is all about. It's about what do we believe, and it's okay whatever you want to believe. I want to believe, whatever you believe, anybody believes that that's totally fine. That doesn't really have anything to do with me, right? I can believe
Mm-hmm.
how I want to believe, and yeah, that's what I want for everybody is for us to just be who we are. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I struggle with that too. Like, I don't believe that Jesus is my savior personally. I'm happy for people that do believe that. I think that's wonderful. Um, I'm not sure about God. I just believe that there's something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the whole universe literally has my back.
Mm-hmm.
I have my mom and dad have passed away. My grandmas, both of them too, my grandfathers. So I do feel them sometimes, like they like little signs that I get that it's like they're still with me, and they're kind of pushing me on to bigger things. So that's my belief. And here's the thing, it's always changing, right? And that's totally
Mm-hmm.
fine too. Maybe we're going to find out more things and read more stuff that's like, maybe I do believe that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing. There's another person, Daniel Torin, who's one of his books is in our campaign, the I Am God. He's written a bunch of books. Just going to promote him. Shout out, Flax and Wick course he put together for like leaving the faith, and like it's a whole thing. He has a whole world. It's called Onion Unlimited. Is his channel on YouTube. He
Okay.
has this cool concept I never thought of before, but he's like, once you leave, you can think of it as trying on clothes at a store.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try on this belief idea
Mm-hmm.
and see
Mm-hmm.
how it feels to wear it, to speak
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective. And you can
Yep.
take that off, and it's not going to destroy your future or your access to some future paradise. It's not going to destroy your relationship with some deity somewhere, or
Right.
you don't have to identify with it. You can just say like, I'm interested in this idea, and you don't
Mm.
have to own it ever. But the idea of like taking something on and then getting rid of it, and like you can just constantly do that forever for the rest of your life. And I like the
Yeah.
idea of like it's clothes. It's just clothes, and you can change it.
uh I like to teach that same thing with different thoughts. Try it
Mm,
on. How does that feel?
yeah,
And maybe it is right for you and maybe it's not. Then it's easy to just change it. Yeah, definitely. I believe that too.
cool. Sounds like we have a lot of similar concepts.
I
Yeah, it's
know.
good. It's nice.
Who knew, right?
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, all we've done is chatted a little bit after you joined our crowdfund. So, um,
Of course it
thank you.
would be that way. We all do
Yeah.
have a commonality, you know.
I have a question that might be so like I did actually try out a coach this
Mhm.
year, and it was a student coach. He's like, I need some hours, so I'll give
Yeah.
you a discount rate. And I tried it out; it was interesting, but I'd not really tried therapy, and I think there's probably a lot of until a couple of years ago, almost 2 years ago,
Mhm.
for the first time. And so I was 14 years out of the religion before I like got some
Oh,
professional help. I
yeah.
don't recommend that that's the right path. I tried making a movie, and that was more triggering than helping, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, so like eventually got therapy, but maybe you can tell the audience when we can wrap up here because we're about 50 minutes.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but and you can say what you want, but let's say we have 10 more minutes. Um,
Okay.
what would you say the difference is between getting a coach like yourself or working with a licensed therapist? There's different flavors of that,
Mhm.
or a psychologist, and like what is like a what's like maybe even the cost difference, because that can be an issue, or like
Mhm.
what are their skill and path differences, or maybe even how fast to get from one thing to the next thing depending on who you work with or what kind of world you work in. Like, can you like
Right.
dismantle or like detangle
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say it would depend on the person and what really when a client comes to me and they want help, I would do a consultation and see if it would be a good fit. And maybe it could be something to where, like I said before, it would be therapy and coaching. Or maybe somebody just wants coaching. Maybe the counseling part or the therapy didn't work for them. It's so individual to each person. And so that's
Hmm.
what I have to do as a coach when I have a consultation with somebody is see really what is the best thing for them. It's not about me and my business or what I'm doing. It's really, I would recommend to that person whatever I feel is best for them. A lot of times with therapy, like I said, we're going in the past. So it might take some, if you want to, dig up those things and work through them with a therapist. And it depends, there's all sorts of therapists, right? So, or maybe it's just, you're at a place where you're like, let's move forward and we can still go through things in the past. When somebody comes to me and we go through all of the past and we, do the whole consultation, then I would be able to get a feel for it and see like, is this something that I can't personally handle because I don't want to take on something and say, oh, I can fix everybody, because that may not be the case. So
Hmm.
for me personally, what I did for myself is I did a combination of group therapy. I did a little bit of counseling. And then I did full on life coaching and hired my own coach. So depending on the
Well,
person and what they would bring to me is I would
yeah.
recommend them. But usually what I see is like a year long is a whole complete transformation.
Hmm. From my experience, one thing that's kind of frustrated me, and maybe you can speak to this, is I hired a professional, like, and she was amazing. Like, I've learned a lot, but the sessions were like, okay, we're in it. I'm emotional. Like, I'm like, all the wounds are open, all the
Mhm.
big topics are in. Like, it's rough. And then it's like, okay, well, that was really nice. I'll talk to you next week. And then it's like 5 minutes later, I had a work meeting. And that was like all of our sessions were like, okay, now I'm showing up to a work meeting in this like crazy, disorganized emotional state. And
Mhm.
that just cost me a lot of money. And there's like no sort of aftercare, like, well, how are you doing? Or like
Um,
the smooth landing, because it's like a 50-minute
right,
session. And
right.
like what I think could be really valuable to me, or maybe others, is to like go to a retreat where this is the focus and you just get care that you need, or like you work through the stuff in live sessions that they're not limited to 50-minute sessions or 1 hour sessions. And you don't have to wait until next week to finish the conversation or like get
Well,
back into that place or something.
yeah,
Um,
I
yeah.
actually am trying to put together a retreat for April and to have that where I can invite people and we can do coaching and we can just tune out the world and just totally take the time for ourselves to go through these things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and also my coaching that I do once someone signs with me, they have full access to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's ongoing support. It's not just the phone call ends and that ends. Like I'm literally holding your hand the whole way, as much as humanly possible for me. So,
So
because
interesting.
that is
Yeah.
part of it.
This concept of aftercare, is that something that you use, or is that a language that's in your world?
Aftercare, and what is your definition of aftercare?
I don't know because I've never experienced it, but people have said that that's what I'm missing. Um, and it sounds like, it sounds like you have a more comprehensive, like holistic, we're partners in this
Yeah,
process type experience. But
yeah,
from what I've talked to a friend of mine, um, he's like, yeah, the 1 hour session therapy. That's, they want you as a repeat customer. So like healing you and helping you, like, although that is their job, it's sort of like, we want you also to come back next week and rip open another wound so that you come back again next week and keep paying, is like a part of the
yeah,
capitalist side of it. That's not so healthy. And I don't
yeah.
think any of the people I've worked with have been like, had any negative intentions like that. Like, I think they do really genuinely want to like assist, but I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't work because I'm broken and not fixed today. And
Right.
thanks a lot.
I mean,
Anyway.
that's what therapy will do. We'll be digging up stuff, but then it's like, wait a second, because we're right here, and what about where we're going? You
Mm-hmm.
know, we can't go in the past and change anything, but what we can do is change our thoughts about the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can go forward in the future and learn from it and decide what we want to do, whatever's best for us. And
Yeah.
that's why I love coaching so much, because it's really not, like the movies you were talking about, the documentaries that's like, oh, everything was so bad, and then it's like, okay, now what? I mean, to me that's kind of how you're describing therapy in a way, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now what?
Yeah.
Seriously, okay, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, those experiences were good in that I did learn what
mhm,
those issues were, and I did get some really positive, powerful tools
yeah,
to self regulate those same kinds of things in the future. And also go, like you were saying before, like feel the feelings,
mhm,
go sit with that feeling and go through it.
mhm,
And it's not easy, but now I have tools to like manage it, which is better than just sort of like being derailed for the day when
right,
something happens.
yeah. Sometimes it's
So
not
I'm
an
so
easy
grateful.
process, yeah. Sometimes it's not easy, but look at all the things that you've done that are not easy, and it has served you, and you have grown and figured out who
Yeah.
you are and where you want to go. So it's all valuable, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's not always so easy, but
I think it's good, this idea of like a 1 year sort of, all right, we're doing this. This is
yeah,
part of my year. Like make a
yeah.
New Year's resolution. It's coming up soon here. You're gonna need one of those and call Elle.
Yeah,
Call
and
Elle
at any
Reno.
time we can start our new year, right? It
That's
can
true.
start like
Yeah.
right now. It could start tomorrow, whatever.
Now
Yeah,
is
we
my
can
favorite
start.
time of day.
Hmm. Yeah, and like these little goals that we have, those are actual goals. The little things do
Mhm.
matter.
Yeah. I actually read this, I think it's in Atomic Habits, the book.
I
It's like,
love
okay,
it.
so your goal is to run a marathon. Well, good luck if that's how you're starting your day. How about your goal could be anything that's 2 minutes or less? Like, how about put on your shoes, your running
Yeah,
shoes? That's
yeah,
the goal for the day. And then what
yeah,
happens next is like you actually go do the thing, even if it's just like you go run around the block or you go for a walk. That's
yeah,
like pushing you in the direction of the huge overarching goal. But don't give yourself gigantic goals that you
yeah,
have to do today. Give yourself like the 2 minute goals, and then it's like then your mind will just go like, oh yeah, I can put my shoes on. That's easy. That's
yeah.
all I have to
And
do.
you're just doing it every day. I love that because it just
Yeah,
snowballs into like, oh,
yeah,
this is just who I am now,
hmm,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So if
Oh,
someone wants to contact you, what's the best way to find you? And then we'll let the audience get back to their days.
the best way to contact me would be my email, ellrenocoaching at gmail.
It's
Or
L
you can
E L
reach
L
out.
E El
Yeah.
Reno Coaching.
Yeah. Or you could reach out to me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group there. It's called I Just Want to Heal and Move On. And I have a little group there that's a nice, safe place to be in. Yeah.
Awesome, great. And then if you were to encourage anyone to check out the Witness Underground Kickstarter, what would you say?
Do it. I'm just so excited about all the healing. you know I'm very excited to be a part of something that is positive, that people can see that we can do it our own way, we can heal in our own way. So I would say, yeah, go for it, be a part of
Amazing.
it.
Thank you, El. Really appreciate you coming on today. And
Yeah.
we'll get this out today.
Okay, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, El. Take care. Bye.
Bye.